The ship descended through the clouds above New Geneva like a mountain falling from the sky. It was black and covered with strange symbols that glowed purple in the afternoon light. Ambassador Dawson stood on the landing platform with her hands clasped behind her back. She had seen alien vessels before, but nothing like this. The ship was designed to frighten, and it did its job well. Admiral Jack stood beside her. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen too many battles. Behind them waited Secretary General and a dozen other officials from Earth's unified government. None of them spoke. There was nothing to say until they heard what the visitors wanted. The ship touched down without a sound. A ramp extended from its belly, and fog rolled out like breath from a sleeping giant. Then the aliens emerged. There were 5 of them. 4 were guards in black armor, their faces hidden behind helmets shaped like skulls. The 5th was different. He stood nearly 3 meters tall, with pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on his face. His robes were white and gold, and he moved with the confidence of someone who had never been told no. Stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Dawson. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I welcome you." The tall alien looked down at her the way a person might look at an insect. "I am High Emissary of the Galactic Council. I do not come for welcome. I come to deliver terms." "Terms?" Admiral asked. "We were told this was a diplomatic visit." Made a sound that might have been laughter. All visits from the Council are diplomatic, human. Diplomacy simply means we talk before we act. Whether we act kindly or harshly depends on your response to what I am about to say. Secretary General moved forward. He was a shorter man with kind eyes, but his voice was steady. "Then please speak your terms. We are listening." Reached into his robes and produced a small device. He pressed it, and a holographic display appeared in the air between them. It showed numbers, lists, and images that made stomach turn cold. "The Galactic Council is an alliance of 12 ancient civilizations," began. "Together, we have maintained peace and order in this galaxy for over 100,000 years. Your species is young. You have only traveled among the stars for 3 centuries. You are like children who have just learned to walk." "We learn quickly," said. Ignored him. "Every young species must pay tribute to the Council. This is how it has always been. This is how it will always be. The tribute ensures that you remain manageable. In exchange, you receive our protection and limited access to trade routes." Studied the holographic display. The numbers made her blood run cold. 30% of our mineral output, access to human genetic material, and 10,000 people every year as workers. "Service workers," corrected. "They will be well treated, most of them." "You are asking for slaves," said. "I am asking for tribute. The word you use does not matter. The result is the same. You will pay or you will suffer the consequences." Secretary General raised his hand before anyone else could speak. "High Emissary, surely there is room for discussion. Perhaps we could negotiate different terms, offer something else that would satisfy the Council." 4 eyes narrowed. "There is no negotiation. These terms were set before your species existed. They have been paid by hundreds of other civilizations. Some complained at first, as you do now. All of them eventually understood their place." "And those who refused?" Admiral asked quietly. The holographic display changed. It showed 3 planets, each one dead and gray, cities in ruins. Oceans turned to dust, no life anywhere. "The refused," said. "The refused. Where are they now? Gone, erased. Their names are remembered only as warnings to others." Silence fell over the landing platform. Could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She looked at the dead worlds in the display and imagined Earth looking the same way. "You have 72 hours to deliberate," continued. "When I return, I expect your answer. Choose wisely, humans. Your entire future depends on it." He turned and walked back toward his ship without waiting for a response. The guards followed him. Within moments, the vessel lifted off and disappeared into the clouds, leaving behind only the faint smell of ozone and the weight of impossible choices. Secretary General was the first to speak. "Everyone inside, we have much to discuss." They gathered in the secure conference room beneath the landing platform. The walls were thick enough to stop any listening device, alien or otherwise. Sat at the long table with on one side and at the head. "Well said, that was not what we expected." "It is exactly what we should have expected," replied. "The Council has been watching us for decades. They waited until we were strong enough to be useful but not strong enough to resist. This was always coming." "Can we fight them?" asked. Shook his head slowly. "Our fleet has 300 warships. Good ships, brave crews, but the Council has thousands. If we refuse their terms and they attack, we lose. It would not even be close." "So we pay tribute," said. "We become servants. We send our people to work on alien worlds and hope they are treated well." Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over the mountains. Children were playing in a park below, laughing and chasing each other without any idea of what had just happened. "If we pay," she said, "we lose ourselves slowly. Generation by generation, we become less human. We become whatever they want us to be. Is that really better than fighting and losing?" "At least our children would survive," said. "Would they?" Turned to face him. "Or would they just exist? There is a difference, and I think you know it." Leaned back in his chair. "We have 72 hours. Let us use them. There might be another way. There has to be another way." Nodded slowly. "Very well. Summon everyone. Every general, every scientist, every advisor. We need options, not surrender. If humanity is going to make a choice, let it be an informed one." Looked out at the sunset one more time. Somewhere out there among the stars, ancient powers were waiting for humanity to kneel. She made a silent promise to herself and to everyone on Earth. They would not kneel, no matter what it cost. The next 48 hours were the longest in human history. Emergency sessions took place in every capital on Earth and in every orbital station circling the planet. Leaders argued. Scientists calculated. Soldiers prepared for a war they knew they could not win. In the main conference room of Space Command Headquarters, Admiral Jack stared at the holographic map floating above the table. Red dots represented Council territory. It covered most of the known galaxy. Blue dots represented human space. It was barely a speck in comparison. "We are outnumbered and surrounded," he said. "If we fight, we die. If we run, they will chase us. If we hide, they will find us. Those are the facts." Captain Sam sat at the far end of the table. He was young, barely 30 years old, but trusted him more than officers twice his age. "There has to be something we can do, Admiral. Some weakness we can exploit." "The Council has existed for 100,000 years," said General Cole, commander of Earth's ground forces. "If they had weaknesses, someone would have found them by now." The door opened, and two women entered. The first was Commander Amy, head of intelligence. The second was Dr. Lisa Park, chief scientist of a project so secret that most people in the room had never heard of it. "You asked for options," Amy said as she sat down. "I might have something, but you will not like it." "I already do not like anything about this situation," replied. "Go ahead." Amy activated her personal display, and a new set of images appeared. "I have contacts among alien species who are not happy with the Council. Merchants, refugees, dissidents. They talk to me because they think humans are interesting, different from other young species." "Different how?" Sam asked. "Most species that face the Council give up immediately. They see the power difference and they surrender. Humans have been preparing for war since the moment we met our first alien. That makes some people in the galaxy pay attention." She pointed to a series of documents on the display. "According to my sources, the Council has demanded tribute from over 400 species in the past 50,000 years. Not one has ever refused. Not one. The three that resisted were crushed so completely that no one else ever tried. So refusal is death, General Cole said. Maybe, but here is the interesting part. Amy zoomed in on one of the documents. The Council does not actually want to fight. War is expensive. It damages trade. It makes other species nervous. The whole tribute system exists because the Council prefers obedience to conflict. They crush resistors quickly and brutally to make sure no one else gets ideas. Nodded slowly. So they are bullies. They only hit the small ones because they know they will win. Exactly. But what if they were not sure they would win? What if the cost of crushing us was higher than they expected? Dr. Lisa Park cleared her throat. Everyone turned to look at her. She was a small woman with tired eyes and messy hair, the look of someone who had been working without sleep for days. I run a project called Prometheus, she said. Most of you have never heard of it because it officially does not exist. 12 years ago, an alien scout ship crashed in the Pacific Ocean. We recovered it before anyone else found it. The technology inside was beyond anything we had ever seen. She placed a small device on the table and pressed a button. A hologram appeared showing a sleek weapon system, unlike anything human engineers had designed. We have spent a decade trying to understand that technology. We made progress, but slowly, very slowly. However, 3 days ago, something changed. What changed? Sam asked. Lisa smiled for the first time. We received a data packet from an unknown source. It contained schematics, equations, and instructions that filled in every gap in our research. I do not know who sent it or why, but with this information, we can complete the weapon within months instead of decades. Leaned forward. What kind of weapon are we talking about? Something that can make the Council think twice. Something that can hurt them badly enough that fighting us becomes a very bad idea. General Cole shook his head. Months, we have 72 hours, less than that now. Which brings us to the real question, Dawson said. She had been silent until now, watching and listening. We cannot win a war in the next 24 hours. We cannot complete this weapon in time. So what do we actually do when returns? The room fell silent. Everyone looked at Secretary General, who had been standing by the window, watching the stars. We tell the truth, he said finally. We tell them no. That is suicide, Cole said. Maybe, or maybe it is the only choice that lets us live with ourselves. Turn to face the table. I have thought about this for 2 days. I have not slept. I have looked at every option, every scenario, and I keep coming back to the same conclusion. He walked to the table and placed his hands flat on its surface. If we pay tribute, we survive as bodies, but we die as a people. Everything that makes us human, our freedom, our choices, our dignity, gets stripped away piece by piece. In 1,000 years, there will be creatures that look like us, but they will not be us. They will be whatever the Council shaped them into. And if we refuse, asked, then maybe we die tomorrow, but we die as ourselves. We die standing up. And maybe, just maybe, that matters to someone else out there. Maybe some other species sees what we did and finds their own courage. Sam spoke quietly. Or maybe we find a way to survive long enough to fight back. Nodded. Dr. Park, how fast can you work? If you give me every resource on Earth, every scientist, every facility, I can have a working prototype in 6 weeks. But we need to survive 6 weeks first. Then that is our plan, said. We refuse the tribute, we prepare for war, and we pray that we can hold out long enough for Dr. Park to give us a miracle. Amy raised her hand. There is one more thing. My contacts mentioned something called the Archive. They say it holds secrets about the Council that could change everything. I do not know what it is or where it is, but I will keep looking. Stood up. Then we all have our jobs. Admiral, prepare the fleet. General, prepare the ground forces. Dr. Park, build us a weapon. Commander, find the Archive. And I will do what I do best. What is that? Sam asked. smiled though there was no warmth in it. "I will go to the council and tell them exactly what humanity thinks of their tribute. I will look into their eyes and say no, and I will make sure they remember it." Watched her with something close to admiration. "You know what will happen when you do that. Yes, they will be angry, they will threaten, they might even try to kill me on the spot, but they will also know something important." "What?" "That humans are not like the others. We do not break easily, and if they want to destroy us, they will have to work for it." The meeting ended and everyone scattered to their tasks. In 6 weeks they might all be dead, but for now they had purpose, they had hope, and they had each other. It would have to be enough. The council station was called Nexus Prime, and it was the largest structure Dawson had ever seen. It hung in space like a metal flower, with 12 great arms extending from a central hub. Each arm belonged to one of the council species. Each arm was a city in itself. Shuttle approached slowly, escorted by council fighters that kept their weapons pointed at her the entire way. Captain Sam sat beside her, his jaw tight with tension. "You know they might not let us leave," he said. "I know. You know they might execute us on the spot." "I know that too." Sam shook his head. "Then why are you smiling?" Looked at him. "Because for the first time in 3 days I am not waiting for something to happen. I am making it happen. Whatever comes next, at least it will be my choice." The shuttle docked at the central hub. Guards in black armor met them at the airlock and led them through corridors that seemed designed to make visitors feel small. The ceilings were impossibly high. The walls were covered with images of alien victories, conquered worlds and species that had learned their place. They reached a massive door made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb light. The guards stopped and stepped aside. "The council waits," one of them said. "Enter alone." Nodded to Sam. "Wait here. If I do not come out in 1 hour, leave. Tell Admiral to begin whatever he is planning." That is an order, Captain." She walked through the door. The council chamber was circular, with 12 platforms rising in a ring around a central floor. On each platform sat a representative of one of the council species. Recognized on the highest platform, his 4 eyes watching her with cold amusement. She was made to stand in the center, looking up at all of them. The position was deliberate. It made her feel like a prisoner awaiting judgment. She refused to let it show on her face. For 3 hours they made her wait. Council members spoke to each other in languages she could not understand. They ignored her completely. It was another tactic, designed to remind her that she was nothing to them. Finally, raised one long hand, and silence fell. "The human ambassador," he said. "You have come to deliver your answer, speak." Took a deep breath. She thought about Earth. She thought about the children playing in the park. She thought about every person who was counting on her to represent them. "On behalf of humanity and the United Earth Government," she said, her voice clear and steady, "I formally and completely reject your terms of tribute. We will not pay. We will not comply. We will not kneel." The chamber went silent. For a long moment no one moved. Then a sound began, low at first, building into something like hissing or growling. The council members were laughing. "You reject," leaned forward, his 4 eyes wide with something between shock and delight. "No species has rejected the council in 30,000 years. Do you understand what you are saying? Do you understand what you are doing?" "I understand perfectly. You are sentencing your species to death. Every human on every world you have colonized will be hunted down and destroyed. Your cities will burn. Your ships will be broken. Your children will never know that you existed. Then that is what will happen. But it will happen to free humans, not slaves. It will happen to people who looked at your demands and said no. And when it is over, when you have killed the last of us, you will still remember this moment. You will remember that one small species refused to be afraid of you." A figure on one of the lower platforms stirred. He was old, even by alien standards, with gray skin and tired eyes, had studied the council members during her journey. This was counselor of one of the oldest species in the Alliance. "The human speaks with courage," said. His voice was soft but carried through the chamber. "Perhaps we should listen." "Listen?" A harsh voice cut through the air. On the platform opposite sat Fleet Commander of He was massive, covered in red scales with teeth like knives. "The only thing to listen for is the sound of their world burning. I will personally lead the fleet that wipes them from existence." "There is no need for such haste," continued. "The Council has time. We have always had time. Perhaps these humans have something to offer beyond tribute. Perhaps." "Enough," silenced him with a gesture. "The terms were clear. The humans have rejected them. There is only one response." He stood and pointed down at. "You have sealed your fate, Ambassador. Return to your world. Gather your people. Pray to whatever gods you believe in. The Council fleet will arrive in 30 days, and when it does, humanity will end. Did not flinch. We will be waiting." She turned and walked toward the door, her footsteps echoing in the enormous chamber. Just before she reached the exit, a small light flashed on her personal communicator. A message, encrypted and anonymous, with coordinates and a single word. "Archive." Outside the chamber Sam was packing, he stopped when he saw her. "What happened? Are you okay?" "I am alive. That is more than I expected." She showed him the message. "We need to get back to the ship now." As they hurried through the corridors, they passed a small alcove where Counselor stood waiting. He was alone, without guards. "Ambassador," he said quietly, "a moment." Hesitated. Sam's hand moved toward his sidearm, but something in the old alien's eyes made her pause. "You are either very brave or very foolish," said. "Perhaps both, but you have done something that has not been done in living memory. You have said no." "Will it matter?" asked. "More than you know," pressed a small data chip into her hand. "The coordinates I sent you lead to something ancient, something the Council has worked very hard to hide. Find it, learn the truth, and when you understand what you are really fighting, perhaps you will find a way to win." "Why are you helping us?" His tired eyes seemed to hold centuries of regret. "Because long ago my people were young like yours. We faced the same choice. We chose to kneel. I have wondered ever since what would have happened if we had your courage." He stepped back into the shadows and was gone. And Sam ran for the shuttle. They did not stop until they were in space, flying as fast as the engines would allow, away from Nexus Prime and toward the coordinates that might save them all. Behind them, stood on the observation deck of the station, watching the tiny human ship disappear among the stars. "Run, little humans," he whispered. "It will make the hunt more enjoyable." He turned and began issuing orders. The largest fleet in Council history would be assembled, and in 30 days, humanity would learn what happened to those who dared to refuse. The star was dead. It had burned out millions of years ago, leaving behind a cold sphere of dark matter that gave off no light and barely any heat. It was the perfect place to hide something, which was exactly why the architects had chosen it. Admiral stood on the bridge of the warship Unity as it emerged from hyperspace. Around him, 5 other ships took position, their crews scanning the empty darkness. "I do not see anything," Captain Sam said from his station. "Just dead rock and radiation." Dr. Lisa Park stared at her scanner with wide eyes. "No, wait, there, inside the star itself, something massive." Leaned forward, "Take us in slowly." As they approached, the darkness seemed to shift. What had looked like solid rock began to separate, revealing the outline of a structure buried within. It was enormous, larger than any ship or station humanity had ever built. Angular and precise, made of materials that did not reflect the Unity's lights but seemed to absorb them. "What is that?" Sam whispered. "The archive," said. "Whatever Counselor wanted us to find, it is in there." They found a docking port that still functioned after millions of years. The seal was perfect. The interior was cold but breathable. Whoever built this place had prepared it to last forever. Led a team inside, with Dr. Park at his side. The corridors were wide and tall, built for beings larger than humans but not impossibly so. Strange symbols covered the walls, some glowing faintly with power that had not faded despite the ages. "This technology is incredible," Lisa said, her voice filled with wonder. "Nothing in Council space comes close to this. Nothing we have ever seen comes close to this." They found the central chamber after an hour of searching. It was a vast room filled with crystalline columns that pulsed with soft blue light. In the center stood a pedestal with a single device, a sphere of dark metal covered with the same strange symbols. Lisa approached it carefully. When she touched it, the room came alive. Holograms appeared everywhere, showing images and text in a language that slowly shifted into something readable. A voice spoke, calm and patient, translated by systems that had been waiting for someone to listen. "You have found the archive of the architects. This record was created 17 million years ago, before the fall of our civilization. We leave it as a warning and a gift to those who come after." And his team watched in silence as the story unfolded. The architects had ruled the galaxy once. They were scientists and builders, creators of wonders that had never been matched. But they had also been conquerors, demanding tribute from younger species to fuel their projects. Sound familiar, thought. In our arrogance, we believed our power would last forever. We were wrong. The species we had oppressed rose against us. They found our weaknesses. They used weapons we had helped them build. In a single century, our empire fell. The holograms showed the fall. Great ships burning, beautiful worlds destroyed, an entire civilization crumbling into dust. Among those who overthrew us were 12 species who had suffered most under our rule. They called themselves the Free Council. They vowed to create a galaxy where no one would be oppressed again. Dr. Park gasped as she understood what came next. But power corrupts. Within 1,000 years, the Free Council became what they had fought against. They erased our history. They claimed our technology as their own. And they began demanding tribute from new young species, just as we had done to them. "The Council," Sam said, "the Galactic Council, they were slaves once." "More than that," Lisa said, pointing to new images appearing in the holograms. "Look at this. The weapon they used to defeat the architects. They call it the Void Lance." The schematics were detailed and complete. A device capable of broadcasting information across every communication system in the galaxy simultaneously. It could also destroy, yes, but its true power was revelation. The architects had built it to share knowledge. The young council had used it to share the truth about their oppressors. "This is why sent us here," said slowly. "The council rose to power by exposing the truth about the architects. They have spent 100,000 years making sure no one can do the same to them." Lisa was already downloading the schematics to her personal device. "Admiral, this is exactly what we needed. Project Prometheus was heading in this direction, but we were missing key components. With these designs, I can finish the weapon in weeks." "Can you build something that will destroy the Council fleet?" Lisa shook her head. "No, but I can build something better. I can build something that will broadcast the truth to every species in the galaxy. Every tribute payer, every slave, every world that has lived under Council rule will see what the Council really is. Former slaves who became slavers, liberators who became oppressors." Sam understood. They did not win by destroying the architects. They won by turning everyone against them. "And we can do the same thing," said. "If every species in the galaxy sees this, sees what the Council has hidden for 100,000 years." "Then the Council falls," Lisa finished. "Not because we destroyed them, because their own subjects rise up just like they did all those ages ago." An alarm sounded on his communicator. He checked it and his face grew grim. "Message from Earth. Council scouts have been spotted at the edge of our system. The fleet is assembling faster than we expected. We have maybe 3 weeks, not 4. I need 4 weeks to finish the weapon, Lisa said. Then you will have to work faster. All of you will. Looked around at his team. We have found the truth. Now we have to survive long enough to share it. They returned to their ships and set course for Earth at maximum speed. Behind them, the archive fell dark again, waiting for the next visitors who might come looking for answers. On the bridge of the Unity, Sam stood beside as the stars blurred into lines of light. "Do you think it will work?" Sam asked. "Even if we broadcast the truth, will anyone care? The Council has ruled for so long, people might be too afraid to act." Thought about Dawson, standing alone in the Council chamber, saying no to powers that could crush her without effort. "Fear is powerful," he said, "but so is hope. For 100,000 years, no one has given these species a reason to hope. We are about to give them one. What they do with it is up to them." He turned to the navigation officer. "Set course for Earth, best possible speed. We have a war to win." The ships jumped into hyperspace, carrying with them the seeds of a revolution that would shake the galaxy to its core. The Council fleet arrived 3 days early. 10,000 warships from all 12 member species emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, blocking out the stars with their numbers. It was the largest military force ever assembled in the history of the galaxy, and it had come for one purpose: to erase humanity from existence. Admiral Jack stood on the bridge of the Unity, watching the enemy approach. Behind him, Earth's fleet had formed a defensive line, 300 ships against 10,000. The numbers were impossible, but then again, so was everything else they had done. "All ships report ready," Sam said from his station. "They know the odds, Admiral. They are not backing down." Nodded. "Open a channel, all frequencies." The communication officer, and's voice carried across the void to every ship on both sides. "This is Admiral of the United Earth Fleet. To the Council forces, you have come to destroy us for the crime of saying no. You have come to punish us for refusing to be slaves. You believe that when this day ends, humanity will be nothing but ash and memory." He paused, letting the words sink in. "You are wrong. Whatever happens here today, humanity will survive. Not because of our ships or our weapons, but because of who we are. We are the species that looked at your empire and refused to kneel. That cannot be destroyed. That cannot be erased. Even if you kill every last one of us, that truth will echo through the galaxy forever." The channel closed. Sam looked at him with something like wonder. "That was a good speech, sir." "I meant every word." Turned to his tactical display. "Now let us see if we can survive long enough for Dr. Park to finish her work." The battle began. Council ships advanced in waves, their weapons tearing through space with deadly precision. Earth's fleet fought back with everything they had, smaller and fewer but refusing to break. Ships exploded on both sides. Pilots died in fire and silence. The darkness between worlds filled with wreckage and light. On the orbital platform above Earth, Dr. Lisa Park worked with hands that would not stop shaking. The void lance was almost complete. Days of no sleep and impossible pressure had pushed her to the edge, but she would not stop. She could not stop. "Power levels stable," her assistant called out. "Broadcast systems online. We are ready, Doctor." "Not yet." Lisa checked the connections one more time. "The targeting array is not aligned. If we fire now, we will only reach half the galaxy." "We do not have time for perfect, Doctor. Look at the battle." Lisa looked. On the screens around her, Earth's fleet was dying. Ship after ship fell to Council weapons. The line was breaking. They had minutes left, maybe less. "Just a little more," she whispered. "Just give me a little more time." In space, Admiral made a decision. "All ships fall back to secondary positions. Form a wall around the orbital platform. Nothing gets through." The retreat was costly. More ships fell as they pulled back, buying time with their lives. But slowly, a defensive ring formed around the platform where Lisa worked. Fleet Commander watched from his flagship, his scaled face twisted with contempt. "They protect something," he growled. "Something on that platform, destroy it." His fleet surged forward, overwhelming the human defenses through sheer numbers. The ring began to collapse. Captain Sam led a squadron directly into the path of the heaviest assault, knowing he would not survive. "Sam, no," shouted into the communicator. "Someone has to buy the time, Admiral." Sam's voice was calm, almost peaceful. "Make it count." His ship and 3 others charged the approaching council vessels, weapons blazing. The explosion lit up the void like a new sun. And then Lisa's voice came over the emergency channel. "It is ready. The Void Lance is ready. Did not hesitate, fire now." The weapon activated, but instead of a beam of destruction, something else happened. Every screen on every ship, council and human alike, went white. Every communication system in the galaxy suddenly carried the same signal. Every world that had ever paid tribute, every species that lived under council rule, saw the same thing. The truth. Images of the architects, the real history of the council, slaves who became slavers, liberators who became tyrants, 100,000 years of lies exposed in an instant. For a long moment, nothing moved. The battle stopped. Council ships hung in space, their crews staring at screens that showed them everything they had been told was false. Then the chaos began. Ships from different council species turned on each other as old grudges surfaced. Crews against commanders who had enforced the tribute system. Communications exploded with voices crying out in shock, rage, and something that had been forbidden for ages: hope. Screamed orders, but no one listened. His own officers were fighting among themselves. The great fleet that had come to destroy humanity was tearing itself apart. And then a new voice joined the chaos. Counselor, broadcasting from Nexus Prime. "People of the galaxy," the old said, "you have seen the truth. For 100,000 years the Council has ruled through fear and lies. That ends today. I call upon all species, Council and tribute pairs alike to lay down arms. I call for the dissolution of the Galactic Council and the creation of something new, something better." The firing stopped. Ships that had been trying to kill each other moments ago went still. Across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, people looked up at the sky and wondered if freedom was finally possible. On the bridge of the Unity, Admiral sat in his chair and let out a breath he felt like he had been holding for weeks. "We won," he said, almost unable to believe it. "We actually won." The cost had been terrible. Half of Earth's fleet was gone. Sam was gone. Thousands of brave men and women would never come home, but humanity still existed. Earth still stood, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 week later, Ambassador Dawson stood before a gathering unlike any in history. Representatives from hundreds of species had come to Earth, filling the Great Assembly Hall in New Geneva. Former council members sat beside former tribute pairs. Enemies from ages past stood as equals for the first time. "We did not seek this war," said, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall and to every world receiving the broadcast. "We did not want to tear down your council. All we wanted was to remain free. But when you demanded our submission, we could not comply. Some things are worth more than survival: dignity, choice, the right to determine our own future." She looked around at the gathered aliens, so different from each other and from humanity. "Today we offer you something the Council never did. Not tribute, not submission, but friendship, partnership. The chance to build something together as equals where no species rules over another and no one has to kneel." The hall erupted in sounds that might have been cheering in 100 different languages. Afterward, Admiral found standing alone on a balcony, looking up at the stars. "You did it," he said. "You changed everything." "We did it," she corrected. "All of us, Sam, Lisa, you, everyone who refused to give up." "What happens now?" smiled, and this time there was warmth in it, real hope. Now we help them build something better. It will not be easy. There will be conflicts and disagreements and probably a few more wars, but at least they will be free to make their own choices. Nodded and stood beside her, two humans looking out at a galaxy that was finally, after 100,000 years, learning what freedom meant. Behind them in the hall, species that had never spoken as equals began to talk, to plan, to hope. The tribute era was over. The age of freedom had begun. And it had started because one small species, young and stubborn and brave, had looked at the most powerful force in the galaxy and said a single, simple word. No.